Hello and welcome to Inside Out TV. My name is James Maynard and I'm here to introduce you to Beth Green and the topic, being real, why it's so hard and what we can do about it. And now, here is Beth.
Thank you, James.
My pleasure.
Hello, everyone. Today, my topic is being real. These Inside Out TV shows are kind of short, so obviously we're not going to be able to plumb the depths of such an important topic. But let's talk about it to the degree that we can today and see if we can get some insights and some healing as well. Well, the first question is, what does it mean to be real? Supposing you're in a crabby mood, you're walking down the street, and you just feel like shooting everyone. Have you ever had an experience like that? Come on, tell the truth. I have. Have you ever had the experience that you're driving down the road and you want to run someone over? Okay. Now, does being real mean that you actually shoot that person or run them over? I don't think so, at least I hope not, because I keep telling people they should be real. Well, I hope I don't mean that. So what does being real mean? Does it mean that I have to announce every 10 minutes, oh my God, I have to go to the bathroom. Could we hurry this up? What does it mean? So I think the first thing that we need to say is that we know more about what not being real is than what being real is. For example, if I were to sit here and try to pretend to you that I am a world-famous spiritual teacher with thousands and thousands of devoted listeners, hundreds of thousands perhaps, worshiping me, that would not be real, because I would not be telling you the truth. On the other hand, if I tell you that I'm a very insignificant person and have nothing to say, that wouldn't be telling the truth either, because that's not reality. I have some value. I'm not very well known. Those are both true. So if I'm trying to look any particular way, like, oh, I'm supposed to look very big, or I'm trying to look humble, or I'm trying to look small to make my brother feel okay because he wants me to be small, or if I'm trying to look big to make my father feel proud, whatever those things are, they're not real. And we know that. We know that not real is not real. It just has nothing to do with what is. And it's something that we're striving to be in order to have some kind of payoff, whatever that is. Now, not being real, this brings us straight into the question of why it's so darn hard to be real. Not being real is something that we started learning as little kids. Oh, don't talk to your brother that way. Well, that's the way I want to talk to my brother. Or kiss Grandma goodbye and tell her you love her. See what I mean? Or don't tell Daddy that he smells like a drunk today when he comes home. Just try to avoid that. Very young, we're already getting programmed not to be real. We have to say the things that are going to work for everybody who's in charge of us, that's going to work for our caretakers, for the people responsible for us, and the people who are going to look bad if we look bad. So, okay, if Miss Brimmelhammer has a class of 36-year-olds, we don't want to have 30 real 6-year-olds who are running around acting like complete maniacs and making lots of noise, especially if Mr. Flibblebobble was coming down the hall, and he's going to peek into the room, and he's going to see this class is completely out of control. So we don't want those 6-year-olds to be real in the sense that we don't want them to give in to every little urge they have, because it's going to make us look bad. So you see what's happening. Here we are, first as little kids, in our families, and then in school, and in so many ways. We are trained not to be real. If we go for a job interview, are we going to say, I really don't want to work for Monsanto because I don't approve of their policies around polluting the world through dumping chemicals through agriculture. So, we're going to get a job if we say that. Very, very unlikely. Or if we meet a guy and the first thing that we're thinking is, what is that zit at the end of his nose? That may be, in fact, the first thought that we have. Well, if we say that, how is he going to feel? And is he going to want us to ask us out on a date? So we're looking at all these little things that have taught us not to be real. Now, there's much more oppressive kinds of ways of not being real that can come on the social level. For example, if you grow up in a particular religion and you say, that guy who's standing up there who's praying and is, the priest or the cantor or the minister, I think I saw him, ducking out of Millie Andrews' house the other day. Everybody's going to look at you and say, oh my God, where did she come from? That can't be right. That's very upsetting to everyone. Or if we're taught certain things by a church, certain belief systems, and then we look at it and say, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like that. Well, we could be excommunicated, drummed out. Social repression starts really young, doesn't it? And then we have societal repression. You're not supposed to say certain things about your country. You're not supposed to say certain things about the political party that your parents belong to. If you belong to a nation that is extremely repressive, you may be afraid to even speak. When I went to Haiti, which is an island in the Caribbean, and I was there, I can't remember, maybe in the 1960s, the president of the country was called Papa Doc Duvalier. And what I saw, and this was literally true, was that people did not feel free to say his name. They said him, not his name. They were afraid. They were afraid of the police. People live in police states. People live in war zones. Can you imagine if your parents are hiding you? You're a Jew in Poland and 1943, and if you speak, someone's going to discover you. I'm talking about the spectrum of all the ways that we are taught to shut up because it's going to be an inconvenience to our parents, to our caretakers, to our teachers, to our church, to our society, to our social group. Oh my God, you belong to a social group. You're supposed to go along with the social norms of that social group. If you're in the Kiwanis Club or you're anywhere else where you are a member of some organization, you may discover that you should not say things that are going to upset anybody. It used to be you couldn't say you were gay if you were in the Boy Scouts. So programming. Don't be real, don't be real, don't be real. Why that is so serious, and I want you to take a moment now, just think about it. How many different ways as a child you were told to shut up and not be real? You're grabbing the toy from another child, and your mother says, good girls don't do that, meaning you better stop. Now, I'm not advocating grabbing toys, but I am saying that from the earliest time, we are taught not to be real, and not being real is associated with our survival. When I was talking about living in a repressive society, as many of you do, because our videos are broadcast around the world, if you're allowed to listen, if they care whether or not you listen to Inside Out TV, you know that survival may be dependent on you shutting up. Your parents may have come from those kind of societies. You may be living in a place where you are free, but the consciousness that you're growing up with is the consciousness of your parents or your grandparents or other people who have grown up in totalitarian nations or in nations where certain ethnic groups were being persecuted or certain religions were being persecuted. They carry all that fear with them. You pick it up from them. how many ways is survival linked with not being real? Being on a job, not speaking up when you think that your supervisor is being foolish or wrong or unfair. Think about that. How many times you have not spoken? How many times have you been in a group and somebody says something that makes you sick? They make a racist remark that you don't approve of, and you don't say a word. Why? Because in you, on some level, from such a long time ago, you have a program that says your parents won't like it and they won't feed you. Your grandparents won't like it and they will disapprove of you. I'm moving this around because we're having problems with the microphone that we're trying for the first time. So I'm going to be real with you. That's why I keep moving my scarf. You may have noticed it already. Now, oh my God, this is going to ruin Inside Out TV. Millions of dollars are at stake. Someone is going to withdraw their sponsorship. What is it? Some detergent company that is sponsoring Inside Out TV is going to, because Beth Green said, oh, what the heck am I doing here? Is this thing working or isn't it? You can't do that on international TV. You might lose your sponsors. You might say something that people disapprove of. You may say something racist and be overheard. Oh my God, now you're on the carpet. Do you get it? Do you get the depth of the program that we have received to not be real? Now, this may give you a slight idea about why it's so hard to be real. But now I'm going to tell you there's another reason. We don't know what being real is. So many of us have been programmed for so long, we just don't know. I remember women telling me that they really felt more comfortable with girdles and bras and all of that, and or high heel shoes. Well, they've been wearing high heel shoes for so many years. Their feet and their muscles have already been deformed. You're going to tell me that it's really more comfortable to be walking on stilts than to be walking on comfortable flat shoes. But the person doesn't even know that they're uncomfortable because they can't let themselves know. How are they to know what is real? How are we to know what is real about us? Oh yes, I love looking like a sex symbol and just spending an hour and a half putting makeup on in the morning. That's really me. Well, is it really you, or is it what you were taught was going to make you a desirable woman, and you were taught it so long ago you don't even remember that it was taught to you. You think it's you. So who are you? Who is the person who is going to be real? Some of us have taken on personas of being nasty as a way of keeping others away. Is that really who you are? Well, now that I've shown you, I demonstrated in just a few minutes how difficult it is to speak up and to be real, and how difficult it is to even know what is real, now I'm going to tell you that it's crucially important that we become real. Now, why is that? Because if we're not being real, we are always uncomfortable in our own skins because we are perpetual, chronic liars. And we may not even realize it. Oh, yes, I love all 10 of my children. Yeah, I was brought up Catholic, and that was the way that I was taught to be. Oh, yeah, it's wonderful to have 10 children, even though I'm exhausted, even though I'm annoyed with the last 3, even though I beat them up when nobody is looking. Oh, yes, and I love my children. I'm lying to myself, and therefore I cannot heal. If I can say out loud, there are times, perhaps too many times, when I'm exhausted and I resent my children, well, then we can begin to have a conversation. What can you do about it? Is there some way to raise your children where you're not feeling so oppressed? Oh yes, I adore my job. Well, what I adore about my job is that it's bringing home a lot of money. If I continue to say that I adore my job, I may drink myself to death or Xanax myself into a coma so that I can keep doing the thing that I'm pretending that I want to do that really is making me uncomfortable. But I can't say so because it would threaten my whole world. I really can't stand my husband. I'll give you another example. Let's say you are married to someone who is developing Alzheimer's, and you have this conditioning which says that a good husband or a good wife is devoted, just devoted. We see millions of people are facing that today. And they don't give themselves even the opportunity to say, oh my God, this hurts. I don't know what to do. I feel like I could kill him. Or I feel so lonely, or I feel so overworked, or whatever. And then when you say that, you can say, oh my God. And then the person who's working with you and who's helping you says, well, do you want to be there? And then you get to look in your own heart. And you can either say no, or you can say yes. And then you know why. Because you have to ask yourself, why am I there? And then you have to get the real answer. And maybe the truth is that you feel safer with that person than you have with anyone else in your whole life. And then when you come and you see that person, instead of seeing the burden, the person who's really annoying you, the person that you're trying to pretend that you want to spend 24/7 with taking care of, with diapers or whatever it is, and you say, I want that. I want to be with this person, but let me see how I can also live my life. That's being real and the healing that comes from being real. We cannot spend our whole lives lying to ourselves and other people and have any sense of integrity. Because we know deep inside there's something bothering us, something wrong. I want you to take a moment and I want you to think hard. Is there anything about you and in your life today that you are lying to yourself about right now? And I'm going to send you chi so you can think deep. And let that little voice come out like the little kid who says the emperor has no clothes. That little kid inside you that used to blurt out things. See that little kid. Give that little kid a voice. And I want you to say these words. And I'm hurting. And I'm hurting. When we are not real, we are hurting. The Chinese women who bound their feet were hurting. How many millions who couldn't say no? The men who were breaking their backs were hurting. The men who are still breaking their heads trying to prove how macho they are in sports, at work, in thrill-seeking, in games, are hurting. There will be no end to the pain until we begin to admit its existence. Often, we say we're in pain, but we don't know what we're in pain about because we're too darn scared to say, I'm in pain about this. We call it something else. I'm in pain because you said this. I'm in pain because she did that. I'm in pain because I lost that job. I am in pain because whatever. Something external that we can point to. Because you, because he, because she, because they. If we look beneath our pain, we may find out that we are in pain because we are behaving in a way that is inauthentic to us, where there is no self-care, where we are striving to be someone we are not. And we're hurting. Think about that. And once you have, let's talk about what we can do about it. The first step we've already taken. It's the admission. It's the truth. As we say on Beth Green TV, which is my channel, where you can see many videos of mine, consciousness rocks. Because it does. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that I see you again very soon. And don't forget to listen to Inside Out, my radio show on voiceamerica.com. You can have me in your living room for an hour every single week, or in your car, or in your bathroom, or wherever you like. Thank you. Until then.